just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Door of mine, open wide I keep for thee. Door of mine, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Open wide I keep for thee. Open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Now, Ines requested this lovely song. The words are masters from two different poems, and the music is from Maitri, who is part of the yoga teacher training teachers at Ananda Village. And please sing with me on the chorus. Keep calling him. Keep calling him, keep calling the temple of unceasing prayer. Believe that he's approaching there, and call to him. Keep calling him. Thou dost know I'm praying low. You know I love no other. I'll speak not, nor ask when to expect from you an answer. You know my heart. I'll call to thee again. Keep calling him. Keep calling him. Whether he replies or not, keep calling him. I'll wash thy feet of silence with the waters of my tears. The altar of my soul will be empty till thou comest. I'll wait for thee. No matter days or years, keep calling him. Keep calling him. Whether he replies or not, keep calling him. In the center of my heart, I have a mystic throne for thee. The candles of my joys are dimly burning now in hope, awaiting thy coming. Though it be eternity, keep calling him. Keep calling him. Whether he replies or not, keep calling him. Remain persistent even when there's no reply. Never let your longing die, and call to him. Keep calling him. Remain persistent, undepressed, through dark and seeming silence. If in the midst of life, disease, and death you play the dancer, yet keep calling him. You will receive his answer. Keep calling him. Keep calling him. Keep calling him.
Let's prepare for meditation. Lengthen through the spine, broaden across the chest wall. Let's take the words of that beautiful song into our hearts And then offering the fragrant flowers of devotion from the heart, offering them up to the spiritual eye. Bring your awareness to your breath. Cultivating a sense of quietude and spaciousness within. Bringing all your focus and gentle attention to the spiritual eye. Sending your message of love through this portal to the heart of infinity. Keep allowing the breath to unfold as it does. Allow that breath to become effortless and natural. Let's incorporate the mantra Hong So. Hong as you inhale and So as you exhale. Taking yourself into seclusion. We'll meditate for about 5 minutes.
While remaining in a meditative state, listen to this week's affirmation for self-healing, renunciation. Renunciation means turning one's back on non-essentials that we may give our whole attention to the Lord. We might think of renunciation as an investment, which initially may seem a loss, but in time becomes multiplied to many times its original worth. The least gift that we give to God will return to us in divine blessings 1,000-fold. Renunciation means nothing less than the gift to God of oneself. Renunciation is of the heart. It isn't what you wear or the outward rules you follow. When you renounce all for God, you hold that renunciation as a precious secret between you and Him. All your desires, all your ambitions, then, are for Him alone. Please repeat after me, first in a loud voice. I spurn the tempting magic of this world.
I spurn the tempting magic of this world
With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
with its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
See where I fly high above the tall mountains.
See where I fly high above the tall mountains.
I am free, I am free.
I am free, I am free.
Now in a softer voice. I spurn the tempting magic of this world.
I spurn the tempting magic of this world
With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
with its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
See where I fly high above the tall mountains.
See where I fly high above the tall mountains.
I am free, I am free.
I am free, I am free.
Now in a whisper to bring it down into the subconsciousness. I spurn the tempting magic of this world.
I spurn the tempting magic of this world
With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst.
ready to burst.
See where I fly high above the tall mountains.
See where
I am free, I am free. And now, still at the superconscious level, repeat the affirmation silently, absorbing it deeply. I spurn the tempting magic of this world. With its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst. See where I fly high above the tall mountains. I am free, I am free. Now with rising aspirations, repeat the affirmation inwardly, focusing at the spiritual eye, offering it up in loving prayer to God. I spurn the tempting magic of this world with its rainbow bubbles ever ready to burst. See where I fly, high above the tall mountains. I am free, I am free. Lord, help me to see that in no outward experience will I ever find fulfillment. All that my heart has ever sought awaits me in Thee.
Now we'll have our reading from the rays of the one light.
This is a reading from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentary on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ananda. Week 29, self-effort too is needed. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. These past weeks, we've discussed the need for balancing self-effort with receptivity to divine grace. Both are important in the spiritual life. Passive dependence on grace hasn't the magnetism to attract grace. Boastful self-confidence, however, which closes itself off from the higher divine power, is shallow, brittle, and given life's many uncertainties, susceptible to ultimate failure. There's a story in the Bible that illustrates the need to put forth personal effort so as to draw magnetically on the divine power. The story occurs in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 8. But as he went, the crowds nearly suffocated him. Among them was a woman who had had a hemorrhage for 12 years and who had derived no benefit from anybody's treatment. She came up behind Jesus and touched the edge of his cloak. As a result, her hemorrhage stopped immediately. "Who was it that touched me?" Jesus asked. When everybody denied it, Peter remonstrated, "Master, the crowds are all round, pressing you on every side." But Jesus said, "Somebody touched me. I felt power going out from me." When the woman realized that she had not escaped notice, she came forward, trembling, and fell at his feet, and admitted before everyone why she had touched him, adding that she had been instantaneously cured. "Daughter," said Jesus, "it is by your faith that you have been healed. Go in peace." Self-confidence and self-effort are necessary, as the ignition of a car is necessary to the motor. Of what use is the ignition, however, if the motor itself will not work? Wise is he who recognizes the real power in the universe and guides his life by that supreme power. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter, "To those who meditate on me as their very own, ever united to me by incessant worship, I make good their deficiencies and render permanent their gains." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Om, Om, Om.
We'll continue with another reading. This reading is from Whispers from Eternity. Number 210. I pour out my love at thy feet of immortality. I pluck the blossoms of light from dawn's heart as offerings to thee. I have lighted lamps of wakefulness in the temple of my morning silence. I beheld thy bliss face emerge from the dark shadows of my ignorance, where it had been hidden for long eons by my indifference. And seeing thy smiling joy, I know that my own happiness mirrored thy blessed image. My heart's tiny capacity for love mirrored thy infinite love. My little peace of mind mirrored thy awe-inspiring, majestic calmness. I will blame the fates no longer for any suffering that comes my way. Beloved Divine Mother, it was my self-made darkness that hid the glory of our mutual love. Now I see myself reflected in thy bliss and know that I too am bliss. For my own mirror is clear now. I behold thy reflection in it, O thou ever sacred, omnipresent, perfect bliss. I pour libations of my love at thy feet of immortality. I pour out my heart to thee from the overflowing chalice of my soul. I wash with the precious musk of my reverence thy feet of ever-moving progress in everything. Well, good morning. I hope everybody's having a wonderful summer weekend The heart of summer is here, and we certainly welcome it. Today's talk was about self-effort too is needed. In our reading today, we hear how Jesus went and the crowds suffocated him, and people were touching him on all sides. Everybody wanted to be in a connection in close range with Jesus. And we hear about the touch of this one particular woman who touched the hem of his cloak, and she became instantaneously well. And we wonder what was different about her touch, because there must have been many people, hundreds of people who were also ill and reached out and touched Jesus, but they did not receive the same response. And given her illness, this woman must have been quite feeble and weak, for she had had this illness for many years. But I don't think it was her weakness that touched Jesus. But there was some power that emanated from her that did touch Jesus, and he responded. So how did that woman acquire that state of being that got Jesus's response? When we come to God 100%. We bring everything with us to that encounter. Otherwise, our prayers are the prayers of a beggar, whining, whimpering, looking for blessings to get out of his or her relief for his or her pain. But these are not the prayers that we're referring to here. This type of prayer does not bring any blessing from above. For these prayers come from people who are not interested in self-change. They just want to acquire blessings and benefits for their own self-interest. And it's like telling God, going to God, remembering God and telling God, when you want something, give me this and I'll get out of your way. But that's not the way we come to God. It is only through meditation, when we go within, in that deep stillness, that we begin to build that relationship with the divine. The woman who was ill had built that relationship and that intimacy throughout her meditations, through her prayers, through silence. When she reached out to Jesus, her love touched his consciousness, and Jesus was able to respond to that. Just when we meet somebody we love, we run across somebody on the street, in the marketplace, we see a face that we respond to with joy, consciousness responds in like to the call of the heart, to the call of the soul. Consciousness is very, very aware of that gentle call from within. Our work lies in building this relationship with the divine. We must make the effort and take the first step and the second and the fourth and the 100th step in order to romance the divine. We reach out first. We give it our all. We must make our love irresistible. That's where God pays attention. We must learn to love God in a way that is pure and expansive and intense and sweet. And we need to fuel that love with devotion. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm not of a devotional nature and I don't know what that is about and I'm a jnani. But everybody is passionate about something in life. We're passionate about sports or art or travel or philosophy. There is something that we're really into. Well, we can take that energy of passion, which is an outgoing energy, move it inward and upward. That's where it's refined and it's offered to God. That is all devotion is. You don't have to be born that way. God cannot resist this kind of love. When a soul is very great, and that soul has journeyed close to the divine shores, God keeps a very close eye on that soul. There's an anecdote of Saint Teresa of Avila, who's a great saint in Spain. She was born in the early 1500s. And when she was a young woman, she lived in a convent. But convents at that time were places where young women who refused to marry were situated. There was no other place for these young women who refused marriage at that time. So they were sent to the convent. They had no spiritual aspirations. Some even arrived with their servants to live in the convent. And there was Teresa of Avila. She had spiritual aspirations, but she was also very interested in socializing. She was gregarious, she was intelligent, she was smart, and she was a flirt, and she flirted a lot. There were visitors at the convents. Many young men came, of course, under the supervisions of the older nuns. But this was what happened. These women were young. This was a time to flirt and to engage the opposite sex. But Teresa was conflicted. She was very outward going. Men found her fascinating, but she was also very drawn to deep spiritual pursuits. One day, Yogananda tells this story, Teresa became very infatuated with the face of a man. And she was walking downstairs to meet him when she hears the voice of God, who says, Teresa, I will introduce you to angels, not men. And immediately Teresa turned around and went straight back to her cell. Teresa became very ill because of this conflict where she was living in this convent, all the socializing and her deeper pursuits for the divine. So an uncle of hers who lived out in the country in Spain had her come visit him at his estate. He was also ailing, but he was very concerned. He thought that his niece would be helped in a different atmosphere. And she would have him read this book of prayer, contemplative prayer, the practice of contemplative prayer. She used to sit by next to his bed and read this book to her uncle. And this book had a profound impact on Teresa. This was one of her first deep movements towards devoting her life 100% to the divine. And I'm not going to go into the whole story, but she ended up founding the Discalced Order of the Carmelites. And that was an order that went back to basics. They lived under pure simplicity and devoted their whole life to their divine pursuits. So how do we go about this journey of self-transformation? What kind of effort is asked of us here? We very well know the effort to do things that we're interested in, our plans. I want this to happen. I want it to work out that way. And we put massive amounts of energy into that. But this is not the energy we're being asked. This is not the energy and the effort we're being asked to put out here. Here we're being asked to put out the effort in those glorious moments when things don't go your way, when they go terribly wrong. Those are moments that we want to follow. We don't want to miss those moments because these are great catalysts. These moments offer the opportunity for us to engage in great change. We also have the opportunity to let go of frustration and anger and just hold what is trying to happen. Invite whatever is there into our lives. It's unfamiliar. It's not what we're used to. But as we welcome these moments, they will provide the fuel that we need for the transmutation of our own consciousness. In AY, Sri Yukteswar, we hear in one of the chapters, Sri Yukteswar was preparing for young Mukunda to set off for America. And he told young Yogananda, Mukunda at that time, all doors are open for you to go to America. It's now or never. And we can translate that statement to our personal lives right now as they are. All doors are open. It's now or never. Meaning everything is perfectly set up to assist you on your path to awakening. Right now, right here. We're also invited to put out an effort to forgive ourselves, especially when we go wrong, when we err. Isn't it easy to chastise ourselves, to get really upset? Can we let it go? Can we be gentle and compassionate with the one who breathes? Can we make peace with ourselves? This is how we go forward with a decision to be gentle, to be forgiving, and to be kind, because we can't offer others what we have not yet offered ourselves. Effort and grace go hand in hand. There is a parable by Sri Ramakrishna. He used to use these parables to instruct his disciples and devotees. And he tells of a time there was a bird perched on the mast of a ship. And the bird must have fallen asleep, where it was very comfortable, and the ship was docked somewhere, and it took off into the high seas. And when the bird realized there was no land around, it decided, well, I'm going to fly north. And it flew. It found no land. It was getting tired. It came back and landed on the mast. And then it decided, well, it's not north, let me go south. So off went that bird, and it flew south until it tired itself out, turned around, came back to the mast. Then it went off to the west, came back to the mast. It went off to the east, came back to the mast. Once it had let go of all that restlessness, it stayed on the mast. And this is an analogy to the spiritual seekers. We have to go out and do all that sadhana, and do our japa, and do our meditation, and do our service, and then surrender ourselves to God. So we have to engage. We've got to put the energy out to move in a certain direction. Then we will get that divine grace come to us. The affirmation today is about renunciation. Yogananda says that renunciation is offering ourselves completely to God and thinking of God all the time. There's a little story about a seeker who thought, I need a guru. People say that when they have gurus, things go better in their lives and things go more smoothly. So I'm going to seek a guru for myself. And off he went, and he sought out a guru. And of course, a guru being a guru read this person like a book. So when the person came up to the guru said, what you want, we don't have here. So seeing the disappointment on this disciple's face, oh my God, well, said the guru, tell me exactly what it is, what you want, and I'll show you how to do without it. And this is what we usually want. Ego pursuits, things that the ego prompts us to think we'll be happier with. In the book Sadhu Beware, Swami Kriyananda states that the first duty of every soul is to release the hold that ego consciousness has on it. All other practices are subservient to this one supreme obligation. Otherwise, if we choose to remain in ego consciousness, we are immersed in a state in which we are foreigners in a strange land. These are Yogananda's words. Our country is omnipresence. That's our native country. But we live like foreigners in a strange land. And that strange land becomes we become so accustomed to it, it becomes our homeland. We think it is. But on our way to that land of omnipresence, let us see all the challenges that come into our lives, including nuisances, including little inconveniences, as altars for self-transformation. Use all that to keep buffing all those layers from that inner diamond that you are inside. Remember, life is never about you, and you can fill in the blank with the individual. Life is never about you, and you can fill in the situation you're in. Life is always about you and that which witnesses the unfolding of your life. Are you accruing credits or debits in your karmic account? So how do we develop and cultivate this state of consciousness that the masters invite us to abide in? Swami Kriyananda said that he got the most out of the spiritual teachings by attuning himself to the Guru, by making himself available to the moment, by quieting his mind and perfecting that attunement. That's where he really grew leaps and bounds. So we need to let go of whatever is going on in our heads and find that quiet space, creating space for God, creating an inner chamber that is reserved only for the divine. In this inner chamber of silence and stillness is where we make connection with the source. Everything else in our life is going to change, everything, except that connection and relationship that we have with God and Guru. That remains a one constant throughout our existence, if we choose it to be this way. Now, that connection and that silence is not only happening in deep meditation, it's ongoing. We carry that state of being with us at all times. When Swami Kriyananda was a young monk, his name was Donald Walters. And one day he was looking at his Guru, and he was a little bit, he couldn't figure out how to balance his Guru's humanity with the divine reality that that humanity also had. So he was a little perplexed. And the Guru, of course, knowing exactly what the Chela, the disciple, is going through, walked up to him and said, "If you only knew my consciousness." And that's where it's at. We didn't recognize the consciousness of the woman who touched the hem on Jesus's cloak, but Jesus did and responded. Our life has nothing to do with our external world, nothing. We just use those circumstances that we find ourselves in to sharpen the sword of discrimination. That's about it. Our life has everything to do with our inner world, the world of the immense, immaculate, and infinite self. If we can keep this front and center, we're very likely to stay the course and get to destination. Now we'll have our offertory.
Take what you would like to give and place it in your right hand and repeat after me. Divine Mother, we offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
We offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
Bless this offering.
Bless this
Let
offering
it serve as a channel of thy light
to serve as a channel of thy light
to truth-seeking souls everywhere.
to truth-seeking souls everywhere.
Let's sing this beautiful chant Cloisters. We'll sing it together. And I'm not going to post the words. I think probably most of you know it. We'll sing it twice. The first time, I'm speaking to you mostly in the church there. Let's sing it in unison. And then the second time through, those of you who know the harmony, go ahead and give it a try. Why not? Long I've called you my Lord, long I've called you. Many years I have longed for your sign. Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion. Offer candles in prayer to your light. How much longer, friend, must I cry your name? I am yours, ever yours. Will you come? Long I've called you, my Lord, long I've called you. Many years I have longed for your sight. Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion. Offer candles in prayer to your light. How much longer, friend, must I cry your